about this Detroit team makes them so difficult to contain for a full 60 minutes of a game?
Yeah, obviously they play hard for all 4 quarters. They play really well together, especially offensively. On the offensive line, they do a really good job, working with each other, communicating. They got a lot of great skill players. They probably got one of the best, running back duos in the league. And obviously Jared Goff is playing at a very high level. So defensively we got to be on a lot of our keys and our technique, and we just got to continue to communicate better, and just make sure that everybody, especially in the run game, are in their gaps and their fits.
When you watch their tape, have you recalled another offense that gets as unique with their play calls? Like they do the laterals, the hook ladders, and they get offensive linemen that are going in the passing. Have you encountered throughout your career at all an offense kind of that unique?
Yeah, actually, I've played against the Chiefs a couple of times. What I mean? They're a really efficient offense, especially over the past couple of years. But yeah, I mean, watching the tape, they like you said, they do a whole lot of stuff, and they do it at they execute at a high level. That's what makes them such a great team offensively, is because those plays they execute at a very high level. And they do a great job with hiding their tendencies.
How much do you, you and Grove specifically, take on the challenge of, this is a really physical offensive line and they want to run the ball? Like, how do you kind of just approach that challenge?
No, yeah, I mean, each and every week, obviously, you want to play physical up front and stop the run game. That's the approach every single week. Obviously, they're third in the league in rushing, and so it's a great challenge. And as a competitor, you always want to go against the best. So it's gonna be fun.
You and Grove got involved again on offense. How are you guys able to get back out there and put a lot on play?
Yeah, we gotta clean some things up. That offensive snap, I mean, you gotta give credit to the Jets. I mean, they did a great job getting penetration up front, and kind of blowing the play up. So, we're gonna need a little bit more practice.
It's not as easy as it looks, huh?
Definitely not. I mean, I've played offense in the past, but obviously not in the league. But we just gotta go back to the drawing board on that one.
Is it you to the corner, Grover to the flat? Is that the wrinkle for the pass game?
Couldn't tell you.
Shane sounded like he was willing to give you guys another shot at it.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna see how it goes.
Did Z give you any tips on how to get in there? Because almost scored a touchdown in one of his plays. Or did score a touchdown in his plays last year.
Yeah. Z did a great job being out there. I watched the plays. Okay, the first play Z had. First play did a great job being a decoy. He didn't block one soul. And the second play, he ran a little route to the flat, and there was a touchdown scored on that play, I believe.
Maybe you could take something from it and be like the play action decoy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a great actor, so I got to take some of those tips.
Buck, last week we talked a lot about the spot Shane's been in. His first really big decision he had to kind of work through. Just how do you think he kind of dealt with all of that and everything that was going on in the past 2 weeks to get you guys in a place to do what you did on Sunday?
Yeah, obviously the head coach position, you got to make a lot of hard decisions, and I feel like, he made, he made a decision that he thought was best, and obviously in that time period, the team never wavered from AR, and we always still have belief in AR, and when he got his opportunity again this past Sunday, he made the most of it, and he only learned, from that experience, from the 2 week mention, and obviously he came out and fired on all cylinders and had a career day for himself. So you just got to continue to build that.
DeForest, you guys have 9 sacks in the last 3 games. Just what's changed up front for you guys to get in a little bit of a rhythm there?
Yeah, I just feel like guys a lot of guys are getting in the flow of pass rushing and things like that, and each and every week they're continuing to build, and has to do a lot with them watching film, being on their keys and executing it in practice. I always say if you can't sack the quarterback in practice, you can't do it on game day. So just each and every day we're out there, guys are working on their craft, and I feel like Charlie and the coaching staff in our D-line room are doing a really good job with teaching the technique.
What do you think of the way Latsio's kind of stuck with it?
Yeah, I mean it's obviously it's It's up and down, you know, in this league, and I think Laiatu is finally starting to get that, and you know, you just got to continue to work each and every day, and he's been continuing to benefit from it. You know what I mean? Those sacks are starting to come, and you know, it's gonna be fun going into this next half of the season, seeing how well he does.
How have you kind of seen Laiatu handle plays where he's maybe won his pass rush, but hasn't generated the pressure, or hasn't got sacks, and got the ball out quicker, they've rolled it away from him?
No, yeah, I mean, you know, as a young player, you know, you definitely get frustrated. I mean, I was frustrated at times when that happened throughout my career when I was, you know, a younger player. But you know, you just gotta continue to do it. You know what I mean? If you're back there, you know, it means you're beating your guy in front of you, and so he's been able to stick with it, and it's starting to accumulate. So
The last question for
I'm
Steve.
excited for him.
Hey, Buck, is there anything you kind of admire about Kenny Moore? Just, I mean, he's kind of lasted a lot of guys here and still making plays at long to his career.
No, yeah. Kenny is. I mean, he's always working on his craft. I mean, always, you know what I mean. Each and every day he comes in, and you know, he wants to practice at a high level, and he goes out there and plays on game day at a high level. You know, and I respect, you know, his work ethic and everything he does and that he puts into this game. So it's been fun to watch him, you know, grow over the years since I've been here.
And it's kind of a quiet leader, but why is that effective?
You know, sometimes you don't need guys to be all, you know, the rah guys around the locker room. Some of the best leaders that I've known, you know, were led by example. You know what I mean? They didn't say a whole lot, and their actions speak for themselves, and that's what he does each and every day.
Thank you.